Welcome to today's training provided by the Governor's Office of Storm Recovery's Office of Diversity and Civil Rights. GOSR's receipt of Community Development Block Grant for Disaster Recovery funding from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development necessitates that this agency and its subrecipients comply with multiple civil rights and diversity requirements, including minority and women business enterprises, Section 3, and fair housing and equal opportunity requirements. In this session, we will focus on Section 3 requirements. Throughout this presentation, we will be focusing on the regulations as they apply to the GOSR-related funding award. There may be different reporting requirements for the additional funding sources that may be used on your project, and you should make sure that you are in compliance with those regulations as they may differ from GOSR. Now we will discuss HUD Section 3 requirements. Section 3 is a federal law defined under 24 CFR 135 of the Housing and Urban Development Act of 1968. This federal regulation ensures that employment and other economic opportunities generated by certain HUD financial assistance shall, to the greatest extent feasible, be directed to low and very low-income persons. It is important to note that the term, to the greatest extent feasible, is often referenced in the legislation and typically goes beyond the general good faith efforts for compliance. Section 3 is the law and is not an option. All recipients of CDBG-DR funds must comply. The Section 3 program requires that recipients of HUD financial assistance, to the greatest extent feasible, provide job training, employment, contracting opportunities to Section 3 residents and Section 3 business concerns in connection with projects and activities in their neighborhoods. Later in this presentation, we will define who qualifies as a Section 3 resident and a Section 3 business concern. The requirements of Section 3 apply to recipients of certain Section 3 covered HUD-funded programs such as CDBG-DR that receive an overall award in excess of $200,000 and contracts for a covered Section 3 project in an amount greater than $100,000 to complete housing or construction projects. It is important to note that an award in excess of $200,000 will only trigger Section 3 compliance. Now that we have defined the applicability triggers for Section 3, what are the minimum goals for Section 3? The Section 3 goals are defined as at least 30% of all new employees hired as a result of the expenditure of the CDBG-DR funds should be Section 3 residents, and at least 10% of the total dollar amount of the Section 3 covered contract for housing rehabilitation, construction, and/or public construction, including infrastructure projects, should be granted to eligible Section 3 businesses, and at least 3% of the total dollar amount of the covered Section 3 projects for non-construction activities, such as professional service contracts, should be granted to eligible Section 3 businesses. These are the minimum numerical goals defined by HUD Section 3 regulations. Section 3 does not require hiring or subcontracting, but if necessary to complete the project, then these goals should be achieved or demonstrated to the greatest extent feasible. Who is defined as a Section 3 resident? Section 3 residents are persons residing in public housing and are the primary source for applicants that should be considered for Section 3 hiring. Section 3 residents are also defined as either low and very low-income persons that live in the metropolitan area or non-metropolitan county where a HUD-assisted project for housing or community development is located. As it relates to the GOSR CDBG-DR funding, it would be in the area where the GOSR-funded project is located. Section 3 residents should meet the qualifications for the position to be filled. What is a Section 3 business? HUD has also provided guidance on the definition of a Section 3 business concern. A Section 3 business that qualifies is one that is 51% or more owned by a Section 3 resident, or employs Section 3 residents of whom comprise no less than 30% of its full-time permanent staff, or the business provides demonstrated evidence of a commitment to subcontract in excess of 25% of the total dollar amount of all awarded subcontracts to Section 3 business concerns. In addition, the Section 3 business concern should have the ability and capacity to perform the scope of work. GOSR has provided several resources to assist you with outreach to Section 3 businesses. One key resource has been provided by HUD. HUD has recently launched the Section 3 Business Registry. If you are searching for a particular type of qualified Section 3 business to assist with your contract, you can go to the website link provided in this slide, or go to the HUD main webpage at hud.gov and search for the Section 3 Business Registry. On this site, a business can self-certify and register as a Section 3 business concern. In addition, Section 3 eligible business concerns can register with their local housing authority as a Section 3 business and obtain certification. As these certifications may often be self-certifications, at any time GOSR can request proof and documentation of eligibility from the Section 3 business concern. Therefore, we recommend that subrecipients verify Section 3 businesses to meet the qualifications. This is a screenshot of the HUD Section 3 Business Registry and the link via the HUD portal. GOSR has also developed a new local workforce opportunities portal and website that can be accessed to locate Section 3 individuals and Section 3 business concerns. This site can be used to both source and recruit Section 3 individuals and businesses for contracting opportunities. The website is divided into two sections, one for individuals and one for subrecipients and contractors. Each section allows the user to create a profile and list hiring and subcontracting opportunities. For Section 3 eligible individuals looking for job opportunities, they can find information about work opportunities available from the New York State Governor's Office of Storm Recovery. A Section 3 individual is a resident of a public housing and/or a low or very low-income person who lives in the metropolitan area or non-metropolitan county where a HUD-assisted project for housing or community development is located. There are 4 easy steps that provide a simple, user-friendly experience to update and alert the user for job and hiring opportunities. For subrecipients and contractors looking to source Section 3 new hires or Section 3 businesses, they can submit and find information about these opportunities available from the New York State Governor's Office of Storm Recovery. Subrecipients and contractors can also find opportunities and information about doing business with GOSR and list their job openings and subcontracting opportunities in one location. GOSR encourages all of its subrecipients and contractors to use the GOSR Opportunities portal for sourcing qualified Section 3 individuals and Section 3 business concerns. To assist subrecipients and contractors to achieve success in Section 3, we have provided some generally accepted best practices for engagement and outreach. Several are listed here on the slide, but as a summary, they are utilizing the GOSR Local Workforce Opportunities portal to recruit and attract Section 3 eligible applicants for posted positions, clearly indicating on all job applications and websites for job postings that the position is a Section 3 eligible job opportunity. Request a current list of Section 3 eligible applicants and certified Section 3 businesses from housing authorities and other HUD CDBG funded agencies. Advertise job and subcontracting opportunities in local, community papers, and job boards in impacted areas and communities. Other best practices for outreach include partnering with the New York Division of Employment and Workforce Solutions to promote special advertisement of Section 3 job postings and opportunities. Contacting local community organizations, for example, faith-based organizations, community centers, organizations that serve adult special needs populations, etc. You can provide them with job postings for Section 3 eligible applicants. Also simple things such as word of mouth and asking others to refer qualified applicants to the hiring entity. DCR and GOSR have identified some steps subrecipients can take to improve success with Section 3. Although these are recommendations, they have proven to be useful in increasing the opportunity for higher Section 3 participation. We encourage RFP respondents and bidders to prepare a Section 3 utilization plan. All awarded contractors must, to the greatest extent feasible, meet the HUD Section 3 goals. All awarded contractors shall perform outreach in order to facilitate the hiring of Section 3 residents and Section 3 businesses. All subrecipients and awarded contractors must perform quarterly reporting of their Section 3 hiring. It is also important that you document all of your outreach efforts to maintain Section 3 compliance. This will be essential to reporting your efforts to the greatest extent feasible to GOSR and to HUD. Another recommended best practice is the submission of a Section 3 plan. Although not required, a Section 3 plan outlines how you will achieve Section 3 compliance through a succinct and organized approach. We have provided a sample Section 3 plan template that can be easily adopted or modified to meet this requirement. It outlines the types of job categories for the project, if there are any new hires, how many in total, and how many are Section 3. The Section 3 plan should include specific information regarding the following: identification of the project area, identification of past experience with Section 3 participation, outreach, and what efforts will be utilized to achieve goals, specific information about the contractor's current workforce, and specific plans for hiring Section 3 eligible residents. The Section 3 plan should identify the specific plan for engaging Section 3 designated businesses and, if known, each HUD Section 3 certified business that will participate in the contract, a description of the work each named Section 3 business will perform and the total dollar amount of participation, a firm commitment to include the HUD Section 3 clause in all subcontracts, and a firm commitment to conduct outreach and notification to potential Section 3 residents and businesses for hiring opportunities using site signage, flyers, etc. The Section 3 plan should indicate the efforts that will be made to notify Section 3 business concerns of contracting opportunities generated by HUD financial assistance for housing and community development programs to the greatest extent feasible. It is important that all efforts must be documented. After the contracts are awarded, attach copies of all publications, notices, pictures of posted notices, and any other outreach material utilized, along with a list of Section 3 business concerns that responded to your outreach efforts. GOSR requires that you maintain this documentation for 5 years after the project closeout. The reason why documentation of these efforts is important is because information must be provided to HUD. The HUD 60002 Section 3 Summary Report documents GOSR's efforts to achieve, to the greatest extent feasible, Section 3 compliance. The HUD 60002 form is required by GOSR for its subrecipients and is due on the 5th day following the end of each quarter. This 60002 form is provided in Elation and should be submitted electronically through Elation. There are 3 parts to the 60002 form. Part 1 documents all new hire employment and training activities. Part 2 defines the dollar amount of contracts awarded, and Part 3 provides a detailed summary of efforts. To properly complete and submit the 60002 form, there are certain fields that must be completed while others are optional. The fields in the 60002 form that are mandatory for the submission are column B, C, and F. Part 2 of the 60002 form provides information on contracting and subcontracting activity. The following fields are also required for submission. For construction and non-construction contracts, depending on which is applicable or both, the following is to be completed. Item A, entering the total dollar amount of all contracts awarded on the project or program. Item B, entering the total dollar amount of contracts connected with this project or program that were awarded to Section 3 businesses. Item C, entering the percentage of the total dollar amount of contracts connected with this project or program awarded to Section 3 businesses. And item D, entering the number of Section 3 businesses receiving awards. Part 2 of the 60002 form provides a summary of the subrecipient's efforts to meet the 3 minimum numerical goals for employment and contracting for the covered assistance expended during the reporting period. Subrecipients that have met all 3 numerical goals were provided safe harbor compliance by GOSR, absent evidence to the contrary, pursuant to the Section 3 regulation at 24 CFR Part 135.30 D1. However, if a subsequent GOSR enforcement action reveals that the recipient has failed to comply with the responsibilities set forth at 24 CFR Part 135.32, this safe harbor compliance determination may be rescinded. Subrecipients should select a statement that appropriately represents the actions that were taken by their agency to achieve compliance. Subrecipients should select Other to describe activities that are not listed on this page. Subrecipients that fail to meet any of the 3 minimum numerical goals for employment, construction contracts, or non-construction contracts must enter an explanation into the narrative box. Once again, it is important to document and maintain documentation of all your efforts for compliance with Section 3. If a subrecipient or contractor, after making efforts to the greatest extent feasible, is unable to comply with Section 3 goals, the subrecipient or contractor will represent and document these efforts on the HUD 60002 form. DCR, along with GOSR program teams, will make assessment of subrecipient efforts and determine next steps. DCR will review and may request or require additional efforts. To fulfill your compliance requirements for Section 3, this information must be entered into Elation. Elation Systems is the exception reporting and record-keeping platform for GOSR and DCR. DCR highly recommends that all subrecipients have a team member attend Elation training and TA to understand its mechanism and how to submit the reports. All reports must be submitted via Elation Systems starting at the date of contracting. Reporting is not an option. It is a compliance requirement and the responsibility of the subrecipient. Please make sure to attend or register for one of the Elation training sessions using the links above. This training will provide further operational assistance and understanding if you have not used Elation or need a refresher. As a summary, this slide provides you with a list of potential questions that can be asked or assessed during the project evolution. This chart provides additional questions across key phases of the project that should be considered and evaluated throughout the life cycle of the project or GOSR award. We would like to thank you for participating in this training session. GOSR would like to keep an attendance log of those who have received this training. Please send an email to the address on the slide confirming that you have viewed this presentation. Please include your full name, title, organization, or if a vendor, the name of your firm, and today's date. Thank you so much for your attendance. You may now close your browser.